Welcome to the FACENT challenge. What are Crow Hill challenges? Well, they're us trying to offer people the opportunity to practice and hone their craft as media composers and to experience real life types of scenarios prior to going out into the marketplace, the opportunity to make mistakes, get feedback, learn from the process without it having any negative effect on your career path. Challenges can be fun, they can be interesting, and sometimes they can be a bit meh. And the reason I'm making this video is to offer some help on how I would approach it and what we're looking for. So I guess I'm wearing a couple of hats here as a fellow media composer and how I would approach it, and someone who's set the challenge, who is basically kind of playing pretend client and what the brief is. Quite a few of you have said, Factual Entertainment, not particularly interested in doing that. I think that something that I'm not a fan of is contempt before investigation. And I got into media composition to score spaceships and robots. And when I did eventually get to score some spaceships and robots, I found it incredibly, I'd say, not as fulfilling as I thought it would be. However, when I was offered a massive TV franchise in the shape of Poirot, it's a 1920s, 1930s Belgian detective with a waxed moustache, I thought that it wasn't really my cup of tea. It was the best job, most fun, the most satisfying, most gratifying job I've ever worked on. I would urge you to keep an open mind about doing something like Factual Entertainment, because it is a massive marketplace out there. If you consider all of the podcasts, all of the YouTube creators, all of the channels, the streamers, these massive franchises, the biggest TV franchise ever from the UK is the Attenborough series of documentaries. So to turn your back on that and to hang in there maybe for drama unnecessarily constricts your own potential for development within your career. I'll get off my soapbox now. To find our challenges, if you just go to our hub, which is the beating heart of Crow Hill, encouraging people to make music, their own music, to make sounds, noise, and friends. And then if we scroll down and go to challenges, you'll see challenges past, present, and future. We're working on the FACENT challenge today, and there's a bunch of instructions here, which we will be updating after I do this video, along with embedding this video in there. You'll see that when you've completed your challenge, there is a submission form there, which we'll get to in a minute. I'm going to go through the whole process. First of all, let's download the assets. What we've got here is a whole bunch of different files. Right, before I drag this in, what we're doing is a bit of telly, and telly starts at 10 hours. I've done a video about this, linked in the video description down below. So that is our SMPTE, Society of Motion Picture, television engineers. Basically, that's our time code setting. That's where we want the movie to start. And then I'm just going to drag that movie in directly from my Finder. And this will vary for different DAWs, but this is how I do it on Logic. I'm then just going to go to Movie Project Settings and set the start time to 10. This soundtrack is basically the guide audio, which is in stereo, but we've also created the stems, which are going to be important. So let's just grab all of those, create new tracks, automatically labels everything correctly. Let's get rid of that instrument there. Now, this is likely to be basically a sum of these different stems, so I'm going to mute that for the time being, and let's just have a little check at what is going on here. So, just made the waveforms nice and big. So, we've got my microphone. This is a MIDI. So, this is the RE20 mic that we've got going on here, and then we've got my location mic. A bunch of ruthless rivals had got together. You hear the sound quality is very different between those. And then we've got the underscore, the temp score, temporary score. And then we've got some more. More score under there. And some sound effects there. This is just, let's make that bigger for you so you can see what's going on. So basically what we're looking for you to do here is a very standard expectation of media composers these days, particularly if you're working for creators. We're looking for a more appropriate soundtrack. I'm going to talk you through why I think the temp track doesn't really work. There is also a little bit of sound design to work on, and there is dialogue from two different sources. All of these need to be processed, produced, and dubbed together, i.e. mixed. So the whole thing has a cohesive, consistent, but also is coherent, whilst the music serves its purpose to propel the piece on. Where the music is concerned, the subject matter is MIDI. And I think the style of music that I have put underneath it's too grandiose. It doesn't really motor things along. It has a slightly too much gravity for what I'm talking about. Talking about MIDI cables. And the clue here is it's about MIDI. Should we not do something that maybe harks back to the era where MIDI was born, 1983? We've got a second subject here, which is the origins stuff, and then this again is manipulative. It's trying to emote something that isn't there, and again there is a movement on screen that I think could be given more of a propulsive nature. The thing that is so good about practicing on Factual Entertainment is the realization of how less is more. So what I'm going to do is mute the temp. This is a MIDI cable, otherwise known as a 5-pin DIN. Well, that's the connector at the end. But specifically, this is a MIDI cable because inside is a dirty little secret that tells. The more you do this, the more you get a sense immediately from watching something of the cadence, the tempo of the piece. And I'm hearing something at this speed. This is a MIDI cable, otherwise known as a 5-pin DIN. Well, that's the connector at the end. But specifically, this is a MIDI cable because inside is a dirty little secret that tells the story of how MIDI came to be. The secret is, so you'll see that I'm hitting the cuts, and that's just from instinct of the cadence that I'm speaking at, and the way it's being edited. So I think maybe 110 feels a little bit slow. 109. This is a MIDI cable, otherwise known as a 5-pin DIN. Well, that's the connector at the end. But specifically, this is a MIDI cable because inside is a dirty little secret that it feels just a tad slow to me. My foot was tapping slightly faster than that click. So I'm going to go for 110. Just going to pull up software instrument track. bass line. And then we'll just create a double time with the delay. So back with the contributor speaking and mix it in. This is a MIDI cable, otherwise known as a 5-pin DIN. Well, that's the connector at the end. But specifically, this is a MIDI cable because inside is a dirty little secret that tells the story of how MIDI came to be. The secret is a quirk of history, tells part of a tale where the spark of inspiration, creation and innovation meets that of simple business frugality.
And for me, this secret gives a sense that there was a bit of hedge betting going on there, that the success of this enterprise was far from certain. The fact that a bunch of ruthless rivals had got together, not just to agree upon something, but invent something together and then offer it to the world for other competitors to use in competition with them, that wasn't amazing enough. There was certainly a sense of, well, we shouldn't waste any money on it. And is there a little bit of a business opportunity here?
For many, this is like a relic of a forgotten technology. Surely we've moved on to using USB now. Not so. Whilst the cable itself may have become a lesser used object within our day-to-day lives, the thing that went through it, the code, has become the bit of mute. Simple business frugality.
And for me, this secret gives a sense that there was a bit of hedge betting going on there, that the success of this enterprise was far from certain. The fact that a bunch of ruthless rivals had got...
Surely we've moved on to using USB now. Not so. Whilst the cable itself may have become a lesser used object within our day-to-day lives, the thing that went through it, the code, has become the central nervous system of everything we do today in music, and we still very much use it, whether it be via one of these cables from one keyboard to your door.
I want to find out why there's only 8 types of MIDI message, 16 channels, and everything is counted from 0 to 127. It seems very arbitrary.
I want to uncover the dirty little secret at the core of this cable and connector. So it's a good little sketch there. And connector.
From 0 to 127. It seems very arbitrary.
So what I want to do now is just correct the tempo. For me, the most important sync there is to hit the origins. I think by increasing this, we'll hit that cut. Works for me. So we've got like first subject, second subject, just a kind of a slight, making it kind of go up a notch. I think here we need something to give a sense of building. So I'm going to go.
I want to find out why there's only 8 types of MIDI message, 16 channels, and everything is counted from 0 to 127. It seems very arbitrary.
Thing about reverb, separates it from the dialogue, puts it into a place that separates it. We're going to take this right back. Let's put the dialogue back in. Dialogue is master. Has become the central nervous system of everything we do today in music, and we still very much use it, whether it be via one of these cables from one keyboard to your door.
I want to find out why there's only 8 types of MIDI message, 16 channels, and everything is counted from 0 to 127. It seems very arbitrary.
I want to uncover the dirty little secret at the core of this cable and connector. The universal synthesizer,
and everything is counted from 0 to 127. It seems very arbitrary.
I want to uncover the dirty little secret at the core of this cable and connector. So just a little sketch there. I would finesse that out, probably change the voicing in this lower part here, make this a proper end. But it doesn't need any more than that. That's sitting under, it's motoring very nicely, and you can just have so much fun, like maybe introducing a 32 element, maybe going from 16ths to 8ths, all of that kind of stuff to manipulate the sense of expectation. The fact that it is repetitive actually increases the sense of expectation. If I would change it too much during this exposition, you would get distracted by this, like I'm changing the subject. But it's no, I'm completely obsessed with MIDI cables, and I really want to find out what this is all about. That comes from the repetition, not, I guess, really from what the composition is saying. It's the fact that the composition is being so insistent. Now, what I would probably do is introduce, and this is the jobbing hack in me, for this section here, I would probably introduce something more abstract. And then what I would do when we came here, you've already familiarized your audience with this theme. So what I would do, let's just drag it back to there, is I would simply do that. The year is 1983. Okay, that's the cue for me. The year is 1983. Maneater was #1 in the Billboard charts with Hall and maybe just a little bit. Let's create a different tempo there. The year is 1983. Maneater was #1 in the Billboard charts with Hall & Oates, Down Under by Men at Work in the UK, E.T. was calling home, Rambo went on his first killing spree, and Dustin Hoffman was unclipping his padded bra after a successful blockbuster run as the character Tootsie. The place, Anaheim, California. Anaheim to Los Angeles is kind of what Croydon is to London. There's a big conference centre there that hosts the annual NAMM conference, and it was at this conference that Dave Smith of Sequential Circuits was demonstrating a new means of connecting digital electric keyboards. Okay, so let's just, for the sake of argument, let's reintroduce this second track here, just to give us a sense of how these two related cues would work together, and if we can get away with a simple transposition. The dirty little secret at the core of this cable and connector. Again, this temp is wrong. The universal synthesizer interface is a specification designed to enable interconnecting synthesizers, sequencers, and home computers with an industry-wide standard interface. This is a preliminary specification. Comments, criticism, and alternative proposals are welcome. This interface specification has not been tested and would need to be retrofitted to any equipment presented in the field. The interface is basically specified as one-to-one between two units, i.e. a synthesizer and a sequencer. Under certain circumstances, however, more units may be placed in a single line. The year is 1983. Maneater was #1 in the Billboard charts with Hall & Oates, Down Under by Men at Work in the UK, E.T. was calling home, Rambo went on his first killing spree, and Dustin Hoffman was unclipping his padded bra after a successful blockbuster. So, for me, what I think has to happen with the temp music is it needs to be simpler, more of a drone, almost like an atmosphere. I'll leave that down to you. Okay, so other stuff to do, sound design. What is wrong with this sound design? Well, I kind of like the tone. I think I just used a sine wave and chopped it up. But what I didn't bother to do was actually make sure it was synchronized with what is on screen. So you'll see there's bits where the text appears and there's no sound, and there's bits where there's sound and there's no text appearing. There. The universal synthesizer interface. So that would be something that I would say ineffective about that. I think you could have more fun with the sound. Finally, last thing to do is the dialogue mixing. Now, I know this doesn't feel like composition. I know that you may think that this is not what we got into this lark for. Believe you me, in this day and age, offering a single one-shop solution will get you so far ahead of people who are unwilling to do this. And I will be talking very soon to a very good friend of mine, Pascal, who is going to come up and talk about his life creating soundtracks for podcasts, where he does everything. I'm not going to go through the entire process here. You'll see that I've already been balancing the music against dialogue, kind of mixing on the fly. So main tips here is, first of all, don't be scared of compression. If you listen to anything on like BBC World Service, you'll hear that it is compressed to absolute, oblivion, which is why it often sounds like people on the radio have a kind of a bit of an asthmatic problem, because they seem to be gasping for air between the various different words and sentences that they're saying. It's just simply the compressor letting go and allowing those quieter bits sound absolutely massive. But don't be scared of compression. The more compressed the vocals are, the more you will be able to mix the music more proudly. But there will be elements where you will have to automate the dialogue or the presenter, so to speak, so the quieter stuff they're saying or they're mumbling on, they're not as clear on, can be heard. But basically, main bit of, work to be done here is this story of how MIDI came to be. The secret is a quirk. My S's are very sibilant, those should be tackled, and the fact that a bunch of that microphone is here. It's under my jacket, so it's a bit muffled, and you will probably want to somehow bring that out.
Hedge betting going on there, that the success of this enterprise...
There's also a ho, 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 ho kind of tone there, which I would reduce.
Hedge betting going on there, that the success of this enterprise was far from certain. The fact that a bunch of ruthless rivals had got together, not just to agree upon something, but invent something together and then offer it to the world for other competitors to use in competition with them. Hedge betting going on there, that the success of this enterprise was far from certain. The fact that...
You can also do that with multi-pressors and compressors and all of that kind of stuff. So what I'd like to do now is just imagine that we have completed our task. So you've evened out the dialogue, compressed it, ridden it where necessary. You've balanced the music against the dialogue, and you've also created some sound design. You're happy with the mix? I would always advise just going away for an hour or leaving it overnight before coming back. Certain kind of blind spots will certainly appear, or you go, oh, I don't really understand what they're saying there. Just a couple of things to be very aware of when you're working on these things is the effect that repetition can have. One, that your music's too boring and needs more stuff. It never is the case. It's simply that you've just heard it so many times you think there's no way they want to listen to 32 bars of the same sequence. 32 bars of the same sequence is nothing. The fact that you've been listening to it for 4 hours is a different experience to your listener. So just going away and coming back will refresh that. That's one of the, I think, advantages of working quite quickly. If you're less invested, you'll have more of an objective point of view, which is why often I will probably just do a sketch like that, mix this all together, and that for me is the job 95% done. I'll come back the next day and I'll tidy up, say, for example, this bit, revoice that. I'll do that with a fresh set of ears, and then I can be fairly confident that when I'm finished and I'm sending off the best that it can be within that timescale. Another problem of repetition is you start learning what it is the contributor is saying. And if you know what they're saying, your perception of what is audible will always differ to that for someone who's listening to it for the first time. It's, I'm sure for any of you who's done any songs or pop production, the problem of mixing vocals so they're audible is so difficult because of this privileged position that you sit in, having listened to something for 700 times, that you know what they're singing already. So another tip here is just sit someone in front of what you've done and just said, listen, can you hear everything that dude with the very unflattering jacket is saying? Okay, so I'm happy. I'm pretending that I'm happy with those results. And what I'm now going to do, and again, this is DAW specific, so don't know how this works on other DAWs, but I believe most DAWs offer the option of being able to bounce or burn the audio into a movie. So export audio to movie is what I'm going to do. Let's make it 24-bit. Let's spoil them. And let's go desktop. Let's go C. Henson FACENT submission. Always stick your name in a title. Anything you send. Don't need that. Okay. Always check it back. This is a MIDI cable. And I'm checking it back on my laptop. Back to the website I go. So name, I'm going to put Crow Hill Productions, kind of my band name, I guess. My email, title of composition, it's C. Henson FACENT submission. See what I've done there? The file name matches the title that I'm presenting. Now, if you feel that title of composition, this isn't as buzzy, then change what you have saved the movie down as. Then if for any reason these things are separated, they'll be able to be found. Link to your media. I'm not going to put it up on YouTube. I'm going to upload it directly. So click or drag a file to this area to upload. Okay, they want to, actually we need to, they want a zip. Okay, so doesn't like movies, we need to do a zip. Up it goes. Production notes. I thought the MIDI dock could need some MIDI style music. So used the chorus synth from Waltz by Crow Hill as my main instrument. I believe it's a Roland Juno 6, which is kind of from the era in which MIDI was created. Insights, always good. Why have you made the decisions that you've made? And I'm going to put, what am I going to put? I'm going to put I'm going to say Instagram at C. Henson Music. I think that's my Instagram. Also, website, the crowhillcompany.com. So if there is a bit of exposure, the guys at Crow Hill can link on the various bits and bobs and promote. I've already agreed to the terms and conditions. 100% completed. Submit form. That's it. I've entered the FACENT challenge, and I'm not going to win because I didn't really complete it. I sent something half-assed. But hopefully that gives you an idea of approach and how to go about entering these challenges. It may not be the most interesting bit of film that you could possibly score. That's the idea. When we're starting out, we kind of have to take what's given us. It's how we hone our craft. But what's unique about the challenges is if you're not shortlisted or you don't win, you will get to hear what other people have done. And because you'll kind of be inside the challenge, you'll understand the challenges they faced and how they overcame them. But also you'll hear from us the reasons we feel that they did a job, hit the brief. And that is the most important thing to remember with media composition. It is not the director that's paying you, it's the producer. And the producer cares about two things: that you hit the brief and you deliver on time. Everything I've spoken about today, linked in the video description down below. Please subscribe to this channel. There's so much other stuff coming up soon. And good luck with the challenge. The T's and C's will be updated on the challenge page along with the video description down below. I believe we've extended the challenge period because we were having some problems with these submission forms initially. Apologies for that. Best of luck.